All right, this is on hoarding, and I think this is pretty relevant. This is Galatians 6, and it's verse 9. So let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. So I wanted to share something on that with hoarding and with not giving up. So I'm going to go back in time, share my story because I think it's relevant. Okay, so I've had different parts of my life where, because of moving frequently and just being, living a pretty nomadic life, I just got tired of having a lot of stuff. So I would learn to live on less, and it would be easy that if this living situation that I was in wasn't great for whatever reason, it would be easy for me to just grab my little, futon mat, pack up my clothes, grab my laptop, put it in my car, and I'm packed up. I'm ready to go. I don't have all this extra furniture and all this extra stuff, and I'm just ready to roll on to the next place. And then I get to the next place, and I may invest in, I'm going to buy this, little dresser, or I'm going to buy this chest or whatever, to put my clothes in while I'm living there in that particular spot, renting that room or that apartment. But the point is, when it's time for me to go, like, I'm not attached to those things. Like, it's just like, sell that, put it on the street, give it away. I'm done. Like, I'm not attached to those things. And so because I had, a long period of many years of living like that, it just got more and more easy. Like, okay, I'm good. I just grab stuff, shove it in my suitcase, roll it out, grab my computer gear, roll it out, and I'm good. And, the thing that over time, the things involving food, so I'm going to say like my Vitamix blender and some of the tools like good knives and stuff like that became like the most cumbersome thing to carry outside of my clothes and my laptop. But for the benefit of ease of, having my nutrition with me all the time, that became like essential. So then I learned how to buy these things to put in my car that I could plug in, the electricity, so I could run it in my car. And, whether that was 12 volt to 110 volt or whatever, the point is that I could literally blend a smoothie in my car. And that meant that, again, worst case scenario, I could just get up and go and had everything with me. And then, time comes to a standstill, and God is going to, bless you in certain ways and test you in other ways. And so then I went through a period of, visiting with family. And then there was some, family challenges with health issues. My aunt had cancer. And, so I decided to live with her and care for her during her cancer journey. At the same time, I had a car accident and I was not able to walk, and I had a broken foot and a broken leg, and therefore I couldn't drive. And so together, my aunt and myself, we were two peas in a pod. I can't walk and she needs help with everything else. So, but she could drive. So together we worked together and, learned from one another and helped each other in both of our time of need. And when she died, I was already living in another state. I was living in Florida. And so I had set up my life in yet another area and another place. And again, living very, very minimalistically, however you say that. But then she died, and then I'm being called to come home and, be part of the whole, funeral process. And I was told that I was named in the will, so that I need to be present for that. And so as a result, I inherited a lot of stuff from the will. And, I had simplified my life, and then I'm like reacquiring all the stuff. And on one hand, I was kind of annoyed, like, I don't want all this stuff. But then at the same time, it's like it gave me other opportunities that I could sell those things, turn those things into cash, etc. And so it was a blessing to me. And so I was able to, get this van and sell this van, and then sell all these belongings, furniture, etc. And I was able to use that money to furnish other, goals and visions that I had for myself and my businesses. And, but there were still like some lingering things from that, I just was it was taking a long time to sell these things. And on Facebook, I think it took me 2 years to sell the majority of the stuff that I had inherited. But it did take 2 years. It wasn't just like, oh, you sell everything in 3 months. It's not like that. I mean, time, you're looking for the right buyer to buy the exact thing that you're selling. And sometimes that takes time. So bottom line, I get all that stuff out of my space and I feel like, okay, now I've cleared this and cleared that. And then some things that I hadn't thought about for a while, that maybe some of these things were in my dad's shed and some of these things were in my mom's basement or whatever. And all these boxes of books and business paperwork and things that I hadn't dealt with because I wasn't, quote, traveling with those things, but they were still there. And so then I gathered them and then they came in one spot and I'm like, wow, I've got a lot of paperwork from all these businesses. And then it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to set myself up, I need a desk and I need file cabinets and I need this. You get what I'm saying? And so then you're acquiring all this stuff to set up this, that you're going to be stationary in this place for a while. And so I've been, here since, I'm going to say 2014, I think. So that's 10 years in this spot. And that's a long time for me because usually my experience is traveling a lot. So I have all this stuff and then people give you stuff. And then, next thing you know, you have all this stuff and you're like, wow, how did I get from like 2 suitcases and my laptop and everything could fit in my car? And now I'm back to an apartment with furniture and all this stuff. And like I said, when you get to the point of having all these things, it requires the management of these things, the cleaning of these things, and your life becomes more complicated and complex. So, in this whole idea of not giving up, my word is that God is grooming you and teaching you, and we don't always understand it in the moment, why he does what he does and the way that he does it. And yet sometimes when we feel like we've learned a lesson and we've like mastered that particular lesson, and then it comes around again, and then we fall into the hole again. And the next thing you know, we're like, wow, I'm here in the same spot before, and I've got all this stuff again, and I've got to get rid of this stuff again. And this is where, again, I think that God, he's giving us grace. And at the same time, he's encouraging us, like have spaces that are functional and that can serve other people. And if there are excess things that you still have, even after having functional spaces, then, then understand that those things that are in your possession, they are for stewardship to give to other people. They are for stewardship to help other people that are waiting for those things that God's put in your possession to manage, to give to the people that are seeking and praying for those things. So, just to give you like an example of that. So, I'm out and about and I get this thing on my heart, like go buy this, metric scale. And I'm thinking, first of all, I don't measure like that when I cook. I'm more of a, grab a handful of this or whatever. But this precision scale thing and being in metrics, and I don't use metrics, I'm using inches. So I'm like, why am I buying this? I'm still obedient and I buy it. And a few, weeks go by, maybe it was even a month. And I'm talking to this woman and she's from a different country, and she's saying how she really would like to bake, and everything that is in the house that she's living in is in inches and cups, and she's used to metrics, and she's used to a scale. And in that moment, like, I was like, ding, ding, ding. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so then I'm like, hey, I actually have something for you. And it happened to be in my car at the time. And I just went to my car and I got it and I gave it to her. And she's like, this is the exact same scale that I had when I was in Russia. And yes, this is exactly what I wanted. And she's like crying, and she's just like, God really hears our prayers, down to the exact same thing that I had before. And to me, in that moment, that showed me that, God is so much bigger than I could ever imagine. And a chance occurrence with me just listening to somebody else's story and then hearing what they really need, and then being in a position at that exact moment to just go in the trunk of my car and give the person the exact thing that they were praying and asking about. I can't tell you how fulfilling that was. It was worth every tear in that moment. It was totally worth it. And, then to see that woman thrive and bake things for the people in that church, and all the happy people and joy that she brought to everybody by her baking, like, that is like taking what she was given and then making it, tenfold, because it's baking is like a gift that keeps on giving, because she just keeps making another batch and another batch and another batch. So, let us not get tired of doing what is good. And at just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. And it comes back to our faith and our victory that Jesus is going to bless us, that we are going to have victory in him, and the things that we need and that we ask for, they will be given to us. And at the same time, the things that are put on our path and that are given to us to steward, to give to other people, that the right people are going to show up at the right moment, as long as we are paying attention to what they're saying and what they're needing and what they're asking, and then we can be a blessing to them. So, hope that helps. Have a good one.